Thanks, David. All right, guys, welcome to Decoding Email Deliverability. I'm so excited about this topic today. And David said nerd alert, but what my goal is for you guys today is to really understand the impact that this has on your business. I didn't know about this, and I wish I'd known about this so much sooner and had some of these strategies in place. So to get started, here's a little bit about me. For those of you that don't know me, I am dog mom, mountain enthusiast. As some of you know, I now split my time between Crested, Butte, and San Diego. And then where David and I really align, which is in multiple areas. However, we really believe that not only is life about running a really good business, but also ensuring that we have a good life and enjoy and increase the quality of our life as we know it and those around us. So let's get started today. This webinar today is for you if you have a brand new email account and it needs to be warmed up. You have a healthy account, but you want to increase your email cadence, or potentially you have a blacklisted or a cold account. So let's talk about the importance of email deliverability for realtors. Let's talk about what it is, first of all. A lot of us focus on open rate, and email deliverability is different than open rate. Open rate is what most of us focus on, and that is when potential clients see your email and they make the decision that your subject line, or they just know you from previous content. And so they decide that based on you, that they want to open that email up and read the content. So that's open rate. Email deliverability, which we're talking about today, is the positioning of your email. So it comes before open rate. What I mean by that is essentially, does your email land in your potential client's main inbox, or for certain email providers like Gmail, they have not only a spam box, but also a promotions box. So a lot of us are landing in the promotions box. This is just something that I've noticed, not only from some of my emails, but some of your emails, because I'm on a lot of my friends' email list as well. So the question I have for you is, does your potential client even see your email to be able to make the decision on whether to open it? So this little graphic over here, we're not talking about email hook and content right now, but how these kind of blend together is we have email deliverability, which affects open rate. And what affects open rate, of course, there's a little section in there where we talk about the actual email hook, which is like the subject line and the content. All right, so here's the game plan for today. Number one, we're going to find where you are at. Finding your score is not as easy as just opening up a stat in your CRM, or your, if you guys are using like a third party like MailChimp, you actually have to do work outside of that platform to find your score. So we're going to find where you are at, and then we're going to be lame. We're not really going to be lame. That's an acronym, obviously. So let's get into this. So what is a sender reputation score? So this is where we find where we are at. Your sender reputation score is much like your credit score. So banks view your credit score as a factor in determining loan eligibility. Your sender reputation score is a factor in determining your main inbox eligibility. So we're going to utilize these two tools to determine your score. And also for some of you, if you're potentially blacklisted and you don't know it. So these two tools, mxtoolbox.com and then mail-tester.com. There are others out there. For the sake of simplicity, I just zoned in on these two. This section, finding your sender reputation score, is really easy, you guys. It just takes a few seconds or a minute. This is really, really easy. So first of all, go to mxtoolbox.com And you first want to run the general test. And so you'll see over here, when you log in, it will give you this window where it says MX Lookup. And then this is a new email address that is not in use. And this is for my new market in San Diego. And so I just want to take a peek at, okay, what does this look like so far? Which it's new. So we type that in, and then you can see clearly, you just click that little button that says MX Lookup. What will happen is it will send you back results. In my results, there was a lot that was actually really good in how it was set up. But what I highlighted below, and this is the actual test for me for this email, is that the DNS records have been published, which I know, and so that's great. However, you'll see here that I have a caution exclamation point and then a red X. Obviously, neither of those are great. And so what it is telling me is that my DMARC record has not been published. Don't worry too much about what that means, because a lot of this is covered in our checklist. I just want you to see, this is exactly what I pulled up. And when you input your email address, you'll see something like these. Okay, next tool, mxtoolbox.com. You then want to run the blacklist test. So in the main menu at the top, you'll see that there is a little area called blacklist. And then what you'll do is input your same email again, and then you click blacklist blacklist check. And then it will pull a report from you. Again, this is the exact report that was pulled for me for this particular email. It's really long, you guys. So I just included just a snapshot of it. But if you were to see the whole snapshot, what you'll see is that there are mostly green checks, which is amazing. And then there were a couple of quote unquote timeouts, and those are yellow at the bottom. Timeouts are okay. They're not negative necessarily. It just means that those tests timed out, but when they timed out, they didn't see any issues. Now, this is a new email, so I haven't had time to mess it up yet. But what you will notice, and you don't fully know how I did this yet, but what you are actually seeing is the fact that I took a new email and I'm warming it up. So there's actually strategies for recovering your email, and there's also strategies for warming up a new email account. So all these green checks you're seeing, this is the result of me properly following a protocol of starting to warm up this email for when I do use it actively. Okay, now find your reputation score. So we just looked at our general health check, and we also looked to see if we're on any blacklist. Next is, what is your reputation score? This is where you will go to mail-tester.com. And this is really simple. This screenshot is an exact screenshot from that website. And the first thing you want to do is you're going to copy the first send your email to email address. So you'll see right here, that email address, you're going to highlight that and you're going to copy it. Next, you're going to go into your same email address and you are going to send an email to that email address that you just copied. So you're going to paste it in the sender. And then you can just make a subject line like test, and this is a test, just so you get reminded, and then you'll send it. Once you send it, you'll click on then check your score. Whoops. And just to finish this slide out, once you click on that, it's going to give you a general idea of your score. Thing about reputation scores is they can be a little bit general, and they're constantly moving. And so what you're going to see is it's going to, in general, say great, moderate, not great. And then as well, it is a fluctuating score. So a lot of times these tools have a specific algorithm that they base your score off of. So for example, I believe this one is based off of the last 30 days, and it's a rolling 30 days. So for those of you guys that run stats on your market all the time, you know what that means. It's the last 30 rolling days of data. All right, so now that we know where we stand, right? So how are we, is our email in good standing? Are we on any blacklist? From there, you're going to make the decision of, okay, this email is good, or this email is just okay, and I need to go into recovery mode, or this email is actually trashed, and maybe I need to create a new email and then warm it up appropriately. So depending on where you are, we're going to go through then what I coined the LAME process. And this is just to give us a little bit of clarity on how to handle this. We don't have time today to go through all the strategies of every aspect, but I just want you to know that we did create clear checklist, and we also spent a tremendous amount of time putting all this data into a PDF. And you do have to request it, but we're happy to send it to you. So I want you guys just to take a deep breath, go through this with me, and realize this checklist is actually very outlined, straightforward. And if anybody might be feeling overwhelmed, it's just because you're hearing a new language right now, but don't be overwhelmed because the process is actually really easy. All right, so the LAME process, the L, it stands for List Hygiene Audit. So that's where we're going to start now that we know where we stand. The A is our active plan. So depending on where you are, whether it's a new email, whether it's in recovery, whether it's blacklisted, and so thus you're going to create a new email. Here's the active plan on what we are going to do to either increase or maintain our high reputation score. The M is for maintenance plan. So once we get to a good place, what is a good protocol to ensure that we stay in that good place? And then E is execute. And I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a tidbit. So this isn't just a, don't just move on to the next thing and don't do it. I'm actually going to give you some strategies on how to easily execute this. All right, let's start with list hygiene audit. All right, so in your CRM, most of us on this call, I know quite a few of you, and I know that most of you are either utilizing a CRM or a third-party email provider. So for you, this is going to be really easy. What you're going to do is you're going to run a report of your full subscriber list. And what's going to happen is that this will identify emails that are in the following categories. And the categories you're probably going to see are going to be a hard bounce, and that's usually when the email no longer exists. Reported feedback, that's when one of your subscribers submitted negative feedback, probably claiming that you're spam, or that they didn't subscribe to you, which, as we know, that can happen with certain lead generation, like Facebook ads, things like that. We tend to see it because it's so easy for them to opt in. They forget they opted in. So that's reported feedback. Unsubscribes, and then soft bounce. Soft bounce doesn't mean that that email is out of commission. It could just mean there was a temporary issue in delivering that email. And so your third-party email provider might try again a little bit later. Okay, so for those of you that aren't utilizing a CRM, then there's another tool that you can use. Again, there's many tools. I'm just naming some. So if you guys have some that you just really love, I would love to hear them in the chat box or send them to me later. But one that does work is called denounce.io. Again, this is really simple. What you'll do is you'll just export your list. And so if you're not using a CRM, this is going to be more tedious for you because you'll actually need to find a way to create that list out of your email. So when I say export, what I really mean is kind of create your list. And then what you're going to do is you're going to import that into denounce.io. And then it's going to offer a very similar report as what I just described above. Okay, and then there is the next step, which the audit part is you're going to take your list and all of those that are a hard bounce, reported feedback, and unsubscribed, possibly your soft bounce. We're going to talk about this a little bit later, up to you, about how aggressive you want to be about cleaning up your list. What you're going to do is you're going to take everybody in those categories. You're going to download so that you have all of their contacts. and you're going to label that file. So I like to label things appropriately the first time because in the past, I haven't been as good about this. And then when I look back, things are kind of messy if I ever want to pull data from the past. So I encourage you to utilize a similar format here. So I would label the first one something like list hygiene audit, and then underscore, and then the series of numbers here that you see is the date. So 03/29/2023, that's today's date. I always put the full year just because, you know, some of us have been in practice for a long time. This is very clean and clear. It's very easy to see that we perform this activity on today's date. This is helpful when you start moving into the maintenance mode and you have multiple lists. So the first one, I would say list hygiene audit underscore full date. Next, what you're going to start utilizing is then just list hygiene underscore date. Okay. So a couple of things to be aware of. Your first audit may significantly reduce your subscriber list. When I did this with my list, I would say that my subscriber list went down by about 60%. But be mindful that I also performed a lot of activities unintentionally that trashed my list. And that was obviously unintentional. And I can share with you one specific example. And I think this might hit home with some of you guys. One of my coaches suggested I start sending out daily emails. And I wanted to be coachable. And I said, okay, I'm going to do this. So I went from virtually sending no emails to my database to all of a sudden sending daily emails. And I got a lot of feedback reported. I had people reaching out saying, hey, what happened? And I'm not saying you can't send daily emails. I'm just going to say that, as you can see later, there's a proper protocol for that so that you preserve your sender reputation score. And when you move to the cadence of daily emails, they're actually landing in your client's main inbox. So your first audit, mine reduced 60% of my contacts. And I like to share, this is not only okay, this is really good. These people were not engaging with your content, and thus they were lowering your reputation score. So it's harming your reputation score. So if you have a big audit and some of you are like 90% of my list, that's okay. And that's great. And just remember, it's easy to rebuild your list, and it's easy to rebuild your list with people that want to be on it. Okay. So how to make sense of this? Essentially, continuously sending emails to undeliverable and bounced emails, it flags you as what we call spammy activity. Also, sending emails to non-responsive subscribers flags you as spammy activity. And the question is why? Well, you have to treat sending emails to potential clients the same as if you were sending to a friend, right? So for some of you that don't know this, I'm going to share this life lesson now. If you're constantly reaching out to somebody and they're not responding, maybe you need to rethink your investment level in that friendship, or maybe you just need to understand that this isn't the right time. If you're to take this back to your email relationship with your potential clients, if it's been 2 years and they have never engaged in an email, they've never opened one, they don't text you, they don't respond, just understand that that is affecting your reputation score. I know some of you are having a reaction right now because you're saying, well, I'm taught people are in my database, buy until they die, right? Or you never know who will pop up. These are all really valid points, and we're going to address this later. And maybe I'm not in this call, but in a follow-up or in the PDF just due to timing, but I want to let you know I hear you on those. Okay. So how to handle inactive emails that you're hesitant to delete. Number one, this is a great strategy for the soft bounces, or just for those folks, like I mentioned, that maybe you had a great relationship with them, but they're just really non-responsive. Again, there's some more strategies there. Like non-responsive could be your private clients, right? Those that have purchased from you in the past, but they're not actively engaging in your content because it's not relevant to them right now. Or people that are just really quiet because they're busy in life, or they're in that cycle where they're just not engaging in your content. So you're hesitant to remove them. There are strategies for private clients. Again, I would love to share that on another call, or on a follow-up. But for those that you're really hesitant about removing them, or they're a soft bounce, then you could consider creating what we call a re-engagement campaign. Re-engagement campaigns are really simple. It works well as a 3-email series. And what it would look like is it would be a notification email, a follow-up email, and then a final notice that they're going to be removed. My suggestion for you is don't be photo bucket. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about, but a million years ago, I signed up for this app called Photo Bucket, and it saves all of your clouds, all your images in a cloud, right? And I was like, oh, great idea. And I kind of was scrolling out, right? I was having a scroll moment where I was like, this is great. And I signed up, and I probably put like 4 pictures in there. And I was like, ah. So anyways, they've been sending me you've been inactive for X number of years. And so we're going to remove you. And this is different because this is an account versus email. But here's what's hilarious. I have been receiving these, we're going to remove you, caution alert, these really like high alert emails from them for about 3 years. And they've never removed me. So don't be that person. Okay. So keep it succinct, keep it clear. And for those of you that are hesitant, give your clients a chance with a re-engagement. If some of you are really, really concerned, then follow up with a text. All right. So now that we have gone through the list hygiene audit, the next step in the LAME process is the A, which is our active plan. So here's the overview. Here's a couple of active plan strategies. So we've determined we've determined our score. So we know where we are. We have cleaned up our list. So our list hygiene is in a good place. We finished our audit. And now here's some strategies about how to improve your reputation score. One is double opt-in, consistency, your DNS settings, spam trigger words, and then spam can laws. So let's jump into double opt-in. Let's first talk about the active plan. So the active plan includes multiple factors that we want to take into account, such as your IP and domain reputation. Domain reputation from Gmail, I'm going to focus a little bit on Gmail because that's what I'm really familiar with, because that's who I utilize. So domain reputation from Gmail doesn't actually offer you specific or clear data. They just give you a low, medium, or high score. And other email providers are probably similar, I'm guessing. And by the way, I want to clarify, sender reputation score, they'll actually give you a score. I don't think I stated that clearly. I kind of said low, medium, high, just to breeze through it. Sender reputation will actually give you a score. And the general rule of thumb is score is 0 to 100. About 80% and above is really, really good. So domain reputation is different in that they don't give you a clear score, just low, medium, or high. All right, so let's talk about double opt-in. As I share some of these strategies, I know some of you are going to feel a little bit of resistance, and I'm going to say that's okay. I'm just going to share the strategies with you. I'm also going to share that I probably have made every single mistake here that we're going to talk about. So it's ultimately up to you to decide what you're going to implement. My goal is to share with you how it might help you in your business. Double opt-in. I have not utilized this. Going back to Facebook ads, I got a lot of feedback from those. So I'm not saying that you can't use Facebook ads. I'm just saying there's a strategy that might help you eliminate those folks that love to sign up and then they love to forget they signed up, and then they're out there responding to your emails in a really negative way, like, who are you? Did you buy my email? And then you look up their history. If you're using a CRM, you can look up their history and you're like, you signed up for the new homes for sale, or you signed up for my new listing. Double opt-in can help with this. We can't eliminate those people, unfortunately, but we can minimize. So double opt-in, essentially, it helps you gauge the intent of your subscribers. It can also help reduce, or I should just say it may help reduce your unsubscribes and your unengagement. And then upon opt-in, here's a strategy for you guys. Great idea to encourage subscribers to whitelist your email immediately. And so all that means is when they open your email, just make sure that if they land in the promotions box or spam box, make sure they just drag your email from that box into your primary inbox, and that whitelists you. That's really good. It's really good for your sender reputation score to see that people are saying, yes, we want this person in our main inbox. Okay, consistency. So for those of you that have mentors or coaches and they just hammer into you consistency, consistency, consistency. I'm not a consistent person. And I should say that I am actively working on becoming one, but it's not in my natural nature. So when you hear that, I hear, yeah, I know I need to do that in the future. When we're talking about emails, this is no longer about a mentoring or coaching moment about how to be a better person. This is actually something that directly affects your sender reputation score. So you want to limit erratic email behavior. Essentially, again, your sender reputation score, you really want to think about this as your relationship with your potential clients. Do your potential clients want to work with a professional that has really erratic behavior? Or do they want somebody that is systematic, solid, consistent, and that they can trust and depend on? As great as this is from a relationship standpoint, whether it's friendship or your clients, it actually affects your sender reputation score. All right, so you want to commit to a cadence. And for those of you that love to be all in and then you get busy, all in, then you get busy, I'm guilty of that. Here's what I would say. Not only is it good for you to ratchet up your cadence, but it's also probably easier for you to commit to that. So it's really good for you to commit to a cadence. So that's your sending volume, your frequency, and just be consistent. And I would actually even say for those of you that are in recovery mode or you have a new email account, ratcheting it up strategically is actually a good idea. So you don't need to go all in, and going all in on a daily email right away might actually harm you. So just consistently agree to, I'm going to send a Tuesday email. And then once you have that in place, you then say, I'm going to send a Thursday email. And then when that's solid, then say, I'm going to send a Saturday email. So be strategic about it based on where you are, choose how you're going to handle it. And then this all kind of comes back to the same theme of don't ghost and then love bomb your list. You guys, like, think about this in dating terms, right? Is there ever a time in history where in a relationship, someone's like, pretend you're talking to a girlfriend and you're like, oh my gosh, he ghosted you and then he love bombed you? That's so amazing. Like, I love this guy for you. This is so amazing. So don't do it to your subscriber list. And again, it's going to hurt your sender reputation score to be erratic. All right, so the next step in our active plan, your DNS settings. If anybody is going cross-eyed right now, it's okay. You don't need to know a lot about this because you have to do it once. And if you are stuck, then just call a smart techie friend. For me, that's David. And so you have to do it once, get it set up, move on with your life. Each domain has a score for sender reputation. So what you want to do, a good key step is to verify your domain name. You only need to do this once, as I mentioned. So you need to add your DNS settings, and you can get these step-by-step instructions from your provider. If you don't even know how to get there, call David or me and we'll help walk you through it. Call a really techie friend, or just go through the pain. I know it's a little painful, but go through the pain of chatting with your provider and having them walk you through it. Okay, so I'm going to focus on Google tools a little bit just for this webinar because I am Gmail Google based. Google Postmaster is a really good tool to gain what I call a window into your domain reputation. There are clear directions on what Google Postmaster is and how to gain that window into your domain. And that is actually in that PDF we created, which is that decoding email deliverability PDF. Super simple. Again, we walk you step by step through it. This is a lot like some of the previous tools where it's a window. A lot of these are based off of snapshots, and that snapshot can look different in a future time. So if you really work on your sender reputation, your domain reputation, all these things we're teaching you right now, the snapshot is going to change, which is a good thing as long it's a good thing as long as we're moving forward. So, and moving upwards. So this is just a quick window to see what does that look like. Great tool for that. All right, next is spam trigger words. This is a screenshot from my CRM, and I'm going to show you, this is when I created a deal of the week. Some of you know what that is. Some of you on here do not. For those of you that do not, Sharon has talked about this. And for those of you that haven't implemented this yet, implement it. This is really powerful and it's really simple. So this is a spam trigger word check that is built in to my CRM whenever I get ready to send out an email. So what are spam trigger words? First of all, your third-party email provider often will provide alerts for you when your content may trigger a spam alert. I didn't give you all the examples of what a spam trigger word is. You can easily Google this, or you can ask me and I'll just send you a couple of links. There are lists available online and they range from like, here's 188 top spam trigger words, here's 300 spam trigger words. There's a lot of them. And so you can find that easily. And I obviously wasn't going to put all of them on this slide. So for us, something that's relevant and an example I want to share with you is some realtor examples that we constantly come across are things like free from a mentoring standpoint. We might say like this free course, guaranteed to give you results, free buyer tour or free buyer resources, large sums of money, which you see frequently in your deal of the week. These are things that we regularly come across. So I'm going to share with you guys some of the things that you're going to have resistance to right now, because you're like, well, we use these words and I can't get around it. I hear you. Some of this is using a little bit of judgment. You know, for example, I listen to Andrew Huberman podcast, and he tells you basically from a neuroscientific standpoint, like how to be amazing at these different things. And I just can't implement them all right now, but it's basically a guideline of how to get better when I'm ready. Next is, I just want to throw this caveat in there for you guys. These aren't forever. This is really if you're in a recovery mode, or if you have a brand new email that you're utilizing and you need to warm it up. Unfortunately, some of these words or actions you really should stay away from right now. And when you get your sender reputation score back up, you can actually bring some of these back in. So this isn't a forever thing. It's good if you continue the process, but I would almost say it's just necessary if you're in recovery mode or a new address. Okay, so let's continue with this. Okay. That deal of the week, I'm going to share with you guys how I handled that and got around that spam word check a little bit later here. So, but let's continue with the active plan. Spam can laws. Stay out of email jail. I've been in email jail and it sucks. So no spam can law. Some examples of this would be, don't hide the unsubscribed list. Be sure that you add a physical address. You'll see that at the bottom of your email, it'll ask you for an address. It's really good to have a physical address. Make sure that your subject line matches your content. So if you're going for a subject line that is very sensational to grab attention, make sure that somehow your content circles back to that so that your audience doesn't feel bamboozled. And then I say and so forth because in the PDF, we share more about spam can law with you guys. All right. Now that we've moved through the active plan, a lot of that is clearly outlined in the PDF. So don't feel lost. We also have checklist. And then I think you guys are going to like the execute part when I share all this. So let's move into the maintenance plan. So we have done a lot of work, right? We've figured out where we are. We've performed our audit. We have some active strategies based on where we currently stand with our sender reputation score. And now let's talk about what do we do from here forward. Now we are actively increasing our score, or we're in a great place, or we've warmed up our new email account. We're doing awesome. What's the plan from here forward? So the maintenance plan is pretty straightforward. When I say most CRMs here, most CRMs do not have a built-in email hygiene option. As far as I know, actually none do. I say most because I don't know all CRMs, but I haven't come across one that allows you to handle this automatically. So this is a manual task. So what you want to do for your maintenance plan is you want to utilize the email deliverability checklist. You'll see here, there are 2 checklists we've created for you guys. And this will give you exactly a step-by-step plan on your maintenance plan. Next, this is how I handle it because it's super simple. And I love simple. If it's not simple, I won't do it. So create a digital folder. Again, I'm Gmail based, so I use Google Drive. For those of you that use Dropbox, use whatever you like. I love online because then I can share that with an assistant or your ops person. Basically, somebody other than me can carry out the maintenance plan, which makes me really happy. So create a digital folder and name it appropriately. So for example, mine is like the keep hygiene list or keep list or keep unsubscribe list, however, whatever kind of triggers for you exactly what the contents of that are. When you create that folder, here's where how you label your list matters. What you want to do, create that folder, and then you place your weekly downloads of all of the people that you've removed from your list in that folder. And that's where it's really great for you to take that weekly list, you run the report again of all of your hard bounces, your unsubscribe, your reported feedback, possibly your soft bounces. You remove those new people from your list. You save every single one of them in that list that you download. You name it hygiene list _, put that full date, and you drop it in the box. This is so simple that the whole action, I want to say it takes like 2 to 3 minutes. And on top of that, the reason I don't do it is because I don't like to be deterred from what I'm focusing on and what's highest and best use of my time. So even though it only takes 2 to 3 minutes, I have a VA do this. Okay. All right. So the E in the LAME process is execute. You need to execute the plan. I put duh because you guys are like, I know, but there's a million things I need to execute right now. And I don't know if this is the most important. I would actually ask you to revisit how important this is. I know a lot of you on this call, and I know how hard you work in your business. I know how much time you put into your content. I know how hard you love on your clients. And why wouldn't you want to make sure that all of that effort that you're putting into your emails, why wouldn't you want to make sure that people are actually receiving them? So this is where I made a comment of, do the same amount of work, but get better results. Yeah, like if you guys go through this process and you land in more inboxes, then you get to geek out on making sure your content's amazing, and you're going to get better results because more people actually have the chance to see it, and then they have the chance to open it, and then they get a chance to know you, and then they get a chance to decide whether they want to work with you, which is probably yes, because I know most of you on here and you're amazing. So you need to execute. So here's why you're going to love the E. And if you guys have any troubles with this, again, David and I are here to help. I shared why this process is important, right? It helps you get better results. And as we know, the name of the game is optimization. Optimization is one of my love languages. Efficiency, optimization, love. So here's my hint for execute. Take this video recording. Dave and I are going to send this to you. Ask us for the resources. So the checklist and the PDF that has step-by-step instructions. It also has good hints on how to handle certain things. And I apologize, you guys. I'm not positive if I actually include the slide in here on how to handle deal of the week. I may have. If not, it's definitely in that PDF. But take this video recording, take the checklist, take the resources, and give it to your ops person, your assistant. This is an amazing job for a VA, and have them implement on your behalf. So when we talk execute, I don't mean you, I mean have someone do it for you. And because we created those checklists, you don't have to be involved in this. All right. So, okay, so I did include the example here. I couldn't remember. So sometimes when you're busy, you have short-term memory loss. That's just my excuse. Okay, so let's talk about optimizing email content. This is pretty brief just due to timing because it's 8:47. So here's a quick overview. Optimizing your email content. Here are some suggestions for us in real estate. How to send a clean DOW. That's what I was just referencing. Mind your words. Avoid too many links, and then decoding email deliverability PDF. It's going to have more strategies for you guys. Okay, how to send a clean DOW. If you guys remember from earlier in this webinar, I shared with you that spam check. And because I had listed a deal of the week and the price was like 1,400,000, and that particular property was weird. It was like $1,477,077. It was a really weird one. And so when I type out the full dollar amount, my spam check always goes on alert with me. And in the past, I've ignored them. And then I was like, gosh, I need to send very clean emails. So how do I get around this? Because I don't want to leave the dollar amount blank. I want people to know how much this is. I think that's important. But how do I write a dollar amount without using a dollar amount? So what I did here was I replaced the list price style from, so for example, if you're doing a deal of the week and it's 1,450,000, and how I normally type it is exactly how it's shown on the screen, is $, the 1, comma, 450, comma, $1.000. What I did, and I was just testing this, is I just changed it to $1.45 million. And you know what happened? That spam alert went away. So I've just been testing things because, sometimes we try something new and we're like, it's really important that we get this out and I can't not have that. So how do I get around this? So I would love to know, by the way, if you guys have run into this and you have creative strategies, I would love if you shared it with us in the GoodLife community, because it's really great to be able to see what you guys are doing and have experienced and share it with others. So once I made this one change, you guys, my deal of the week has moved to a completely clean email. So that means that the more I send of them, the more my reputation score, my sender reputation score, just stays good or increases. Like, it loves this email that I send out. Okay, next, for optimizing email content, mind your words. Again, this is a lot like your relationship with, but this is your relationship with your clients and your potential clients. And I always go back to pretend this is a relationship with a friend. So mind your words. Imagine writing this email that you send to your clients as if we were writing to a really good and professional friend, right? So it's professional. So we're not going to get too casual, right? Like sometimes when we hang out with our friends in person and we're just letting our hair down, we get really casual, and I love that, and that's important, but we have to be careful about being too casual. But at the same time, we talk to them like a friend. And so for me, for example, I use strong language, but my format tends to be a little bit more casual because I treat my clients like a good and professional friend. So when you're writing to them, you wouldn't use like all caps, right? I don't know about you guys, but like the feeling I get when I see all caps is I either think, I'm going to say this, don't get mad at me if some of you guys do this, but I think like, did my mom send me this email? Did she accidentally send the all, like hit that all caps button, because she's not really digitally inclined. So I'm like, all caps. Like, it really kind of alarms me when I see those emails, and it's just very assaulting. So you wouldn't use all caps. You wouldn't use a ton of exclamation points. I'm guilty of using a lot of exclamation points. So I have to proofread my emails and go back and remove and just strategically only use like one or two, so that they're not peppered throughout my content. And because you're a professional and because you respect your friend, you would also just do your best to check your spelling and use proper grammar. So again, just treat these emails like you're sending an email to a good friend that just happens to be a high-level professional. And how would you want them to feel when they receive this email? All right, optimizing email content. Avoid too many links. Okay, here's another area where I'm going to get some pushback. Rethink your fancy newsletter that probably has multiple images and excessive links. I used to have one of these. I spent a ton of time creating this with my graphics person, with my assistant. I created it in BombBomb, and then I loved it so much, I recreated it in another third-party email provider. I put so much work into it. It was pretty. It had calendars. It had all this stuff. Some of my clients, a lot of my real estate friends were like, we love this. It's so pretty. It's so good. We love it. I'm not saying you can't not have this forever, but if you are in a position where your sender reputation score is low, or you have a new email account, this will harm you. Excessive images and excessive links give an alert that to providers, email providers, hey, this content has a lot of images, this content has a lot of links. What has a lot of images and links? These little like fancy newsletters. What are fancy newsletters? They're usually promotions for businesses. What does that mean? It's not an email to a friend. That probably should go either to spam box or if the email provider is friendly like Gmail, but friendly is not a good word because it's just as bad, it might go into the promotions box. So in my opinion, a promotions box is not any different than a spam box. You know, you're not in the main inbox. I don't care which box you're in. If you're not in the main inbox, then you're not winning. So minimize call to actions that require hyperlinks in the end of your email as well. So I didn't transition well to this. New subject. Next is we're going to talk about, a lot of us have a lot of call to actions in our emails, and they're awesome. It's like, book a call with me here, subscribe to my buyer list, download my, these are really awesome. And I think that they have a place in our business because it's a great way for people to not necessarily commit to contacting you yet, but they get to warm up to that action by looking at the content you put out, right? By clicking on these links. If you're in a good place with your reputation score, absolutely have these, have like your top 1 to 3, right? If you are, again, trying to repair your reputation score, so you're in recovery mode, or if you're trying to warm up a new email account, plan on this for a future action. For now, you really just want to get your score high. All right, so it's 8:55. Let's wrap this up. If you guys want a copy of these 2 checklists and the full decoding email deliverability, email us vip@realgoodlife.co. This will not automatically be sent in that email that we send to you guys. So you must request it. It is complimentary. We just want to make sure we're only sending this to people that will actually utilize it, or actually want to give to their assistant or their ops person. Okay, so just let us know and we'll happily shoot it your way. Here's what's going to be included in case you guys are curious. Best practices. We didn't talk about this in the webinar due to timing because it's 8:56. Like I mentioned, this is really content packed. So which is why we have to handle Q&A and some of these aspects later. But some things that it will cover, some new content that I didn't have time to cover. For example, best practices and just how to start. Cleanup hacks. We'll go step by step on how to address certain cleanup hacks for very specific real estate scenarios. You've heard me talk about how to handle brand new email accounts. There's a very strategic way on how to handle and warm up new email accounts. And a lot of the strategies actually work on recovery as well. One example to give you insight is called segmenting. Really powerful to warm up a new email account, also for recovery mode. That's all listed directly in the PDF. And then of course, checklist, because as we go through the fact that this is a lot of new content, we're going to give you a very clear checklist to guide you through all of this. And send us your questions. This is going to be really fun. Since these are going to be technical in nature, and also due to the fact that this is a lengthy webinar in itself and it took the full time, please either throw it in chat box if some of you don't want to throw it in chat box because you just would like to stay anonymous, whatever reason, go ahead and email us or text David and us. You're not supposed to give multiple calls to action like I am right now. But seriously, just reach out to us the way that works best for you guys. So thanks so much for being here, you guys. I know your time is really valuable, so we really appreciate you being here.
That was amazing, Heather. We had quite a bit happening in chat. So just a quick reminder, like Heather said, if you have a question that I wasn't able to answer in chat, or just you have something else that comes up later, it's just vip@realgoodlife.co, and we'll get that response out to you. And then of course, if you want all those resources, make sure you reach out to us so we can get them to you. And then last thing before we go, since I don't see any other questions, next week, same time, I'm going to be covering email touches. So this will go hand in hand with what Heather just taught us, so that you can start increasing your deliverability and the things that you should be emailing and the things you shouldn't be emailing in more detail once you get the technical side figured out.